Most people think the person who survives a narcissist is the loud one, the fighter, the alpha, the one who doesn't take nonsense. That's the myth. It feels clean, it feels cinematic, and it's wrong. Narcissists don't lose to strength, they feed on it. Strength gives them something to wrestle, something to provoke, something to turn into a story. The narcissist doesn't hunt weakness the way a predator hunts a limping animal. They hunt access. Access to your guilt, access to your empathy, access to your need to be seen as good. That's why the good person is always the first one in the trap. Because good people don't just want to be decent, they want to be perceived as decent. They want to be fair. They want to give the benefit of the doubt. They want to believe love fixes what character refuses to repair. And a narcissist can smell that from across the room. They can feel the soft spot where your conscience lives, and they press it until you call pain patience. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. Narcissists can't control you with force. They control you with conscience. They make you feel responsible for their mood, their wounds, their outbursts, their cold silences. They turn your empathy into a leash and call it connection. They weaponize your morality by framing every boundary as cruelty and every exit as betrayal. And if you're the type who denies your own shadow, you're defenseless. Jung's entire warning was simple. What you refuse to own in yourself will be owned for you from the outside. If you refuse to admit your anger, someone will use it against you. If you refuse to admit your selfishness, someone will demand endless sacrifice. If you refuse to admit you can leave, someone will build a prison out of your compassion. This is why the sweetest people get trapped the longest. They confuse calm with safety. They confuse apology with accountability. They wait for a moment that never comes, because the mask slips when it benefits. That's why endurance gets mistaken for love in narcissistic relationships. You stay, you soften, you explain, you hold space, you bargain with someone's character like it's a misunderstanding. You call it loyalty, they call it supply. So, who actually survives? Not the nicest, not the most forgiving, not the most spiritually evolved. The survivor is the person who becomes unbrippable, the one who stops negotiating with distortion, the one who can say, without trembling, "I don't care if you think I'm the villain." And to outsiders, that looks like coldness. They'll say you changed. They'll say you hardened. They'll say you're selfish, paranoid, dramatic. Because most people are addicted to the fantasy that kindness means endless access. They don't understand the difference between being kind and being available for extraction. But the real shift is quieter than rage. It's an internal verdict. A moment where you stop asking, "How do I fix this?" and start asking, "Why am I tolerating it?" Before we name the one type of person who survives, you need to see the mechanism clearly. Because if you don't understand what the narcissist is actually feeding on, you'll keep calling your own self-betrayal love, and you'll keep paying for belonging with your nervous system. Narcissists don't win because they're stronger than you. They win because they make reality negotiable. They don't dominate with force. They dominate with distortion, like a crooked banker controlling the currency of meaning. If they can control what an event means, they control how you feel, how you respond, and how guilty you become for resisting. Their operating system runs on emotional economics. You pay in attention, patience, explanation, and self-doubt. They pay in crumbs, just enough warmth to keep you invested, just enough approval to keep you chasing. The more you chase, the more power they have, because your nervous system becomes dependent on their signals, the way a gambler becomes dependent on a slot machine. It's not romance, it's conditioning. The first control channel is confusion, gaslighting, contradiction, moving goalposts, anything that keeps you off balance. Yesterday they adored you. Today you're too sensitive. They deny what they said, then accuse you of misremembering. They promise change, then redefine what change means. You bring up a concrete hurt, and suddenly the discussion becomes your attitude, your timing, your energy. Soon you're not solving a problem, you're defending your sanity. You start collecting evidence because your memory has been colonized, and that's the goal. If you doubt yourself, you'll accept their version. The second control channel is obligation. This is where your conscience becomes their handle. After all I've done for you, you owe me. If you leave, you're abandoning me. They turn basic decency into lifelong debt. If you're the therapist partner, you tell yourself understanding is love. If you're the loyal friend, you tell yourself leaving is betrayal. If you're the fixer child, you learned early that peace is your job, so you keep paying for it with your nervous system. The narcissist doesn't need to be right. They need you to feel wrong. And then comes the move that traps almost everyone. Intermittent reward, hot and cold love, sudden tenderness after cruelty, the apology that feels like rain in a drought, the "I miss you" message right when you finally detach. Your brain learns the sequence: pain, then payoff. That is how addiction is built. You don't stay because it's good. You stay because relief is coming, and they control the timing of relief like a dealer controls the next hit. One kind weekend resets your hope. One tearful confession makes you rewrite the last 6 months. Relief becomes the chain. Jung would call the deeper engine projection shadow dumping. The narcissist externalizes what they cannot bear in themselves: shame, inferiority, envy, rage, the fear of being ordinary. They need a container, someone to carry what they refuse to face. So they hand you their shadow and convince you it's yours. Their jealousy becomes your disloyalty. Their emptiness becomes your failure to love them enough. Their cruelty becomes your provocation. Over time, you start carrying emotions that don't belong to you, and you begin apologizing for damage you didn't create. That's why arguing doesn't work. You can't reason someone out of a distortion they use for power. Evidence doesn't break a spell that benefits the caster. The turning point is not getting smarter, researching more, or finding the perfect sentence. The turning point is when you stop negotiating with insanity, when you treat patterns as proof, when you stop asking them to validate your reality, and you start validating it yourself. Notice what all 3 channels have in common. They don't require the narcissist to be powerful, only that you stay engaged. Confusion keeps you talking. Obligation keeps you staying. Intermittent reward keeps you hoping. And every time you re-enter the ring to clear things up, you donate more data, more emotion, more time. That's why the smartest people still get trapped. Intelligence can explain the pattern, but it can't end an addiction to being understood by them. So what type can't be controlled by confusion, obligation, or intermittent reward? The only type of person who survives a narcissist is not the toughest person in the room. It's not the loudest, the most aggressive, or the one who wins arguments. It's the integrated person, the one who has reclaimed their shadow. Jung's warning was simple and brutal. Until you own what you're capable of, you're controllable. A narcissist doesn't need to overpower you. They just need to find the part of you that refuses to be bad, and then they use that refusal like a steering wheel. Integration isn't becoming nicer, it's becoming whole. It's admitting you can be angry, selfish, cold, and willing to leave and still be a decent human. The narcissist thrives on your split psyche, the part that knows the truth, fighting the part that wants to be seen as loving. As long as you're split, they can pull you in two directions at once. Reality on one side, guilt on the other. When that split closes, their leverage evaporates, and it happens in 3 stages. Stage 1. The internal court ends. Most victims stay trapped because they keep the narcissist seated on the judge's chair. Every boundary becomes a case to argue. Every decision becomes a trial. You explain, you prove, you defend, you bring receipts like you're pleading for reality to be recognized. The integrated person stops litigating their perception. They stop asking permission to trust what they saw, what they heard, what their body signaled the moment the room changed. They accept a hard truth. Sometimes the only evidence you get is the pattern itself. And that pattern is enough. This is where the narcissist's first panic response begins. They push harder. They escalate the guilt. They demand a conversation like adults. They bait you into defending yourself so they can twist your words into fresh confusion. But the integrated person doesn't take the bait because they've stopped treating debate as intimacy. Silence isn't avoidance anymore. It's discernment. A boundary isn't a message. It's a wall. They stop performing innocence. They admit, privately, that they can retaliate, that they can destroy reputations, that they can play the same dirty game. And because they admit it, they're no longer hypnotized by it. The shadow becomes a guard dog, not a saboteur. Jung would call this the moment you stop being good out of fear and start being ethical out of choice. That difference changes everything. It makes your empathy sharp, not soft, not blind. Stage 2. Emotional independence. This is where most people fail, because they're still addicted to a certain kind of justice. They want closure. They want an apology that matches the damage. They want fairness. They want to be understood. The narcissist uses those needs like strings. They offer a half apology, then retract it. They give warmth, then punish you with coldness. They keep you reaching for the moment it finally makes sense. The integrated person walks out of that casino. They stop needing the narcissist to deliver emotional permission slips. They detach meaning from the narcissist and start treating behavior as data. The insult is information. The charm is a tactic. The tears are a tool. They don't translate cruelty into, maybe they're stressed. They don't romanticize disrespect into, they're wounded. They can still feel empathy because they're not numb, but they no longer sacrifice reality to keep empathy alive. They can acknowledge another person's pain without volunteering to be the container for it. That is emotional independence. Compassion without captivity. Stage 3. Ruthless boundaries without rage. Notice ruthless doesn't mean dramatic. It means clean, surgical. The integrated person doesn't threaten, negotiate, or try to teach the narcissist a lesson. They don't deliver monologues about respect. They don't go to war for validation. They simply remove access. They stop answering at the speed of anxiety. They stop explaining their no. They stop returning to conversations designed to erase them. They stop volunteering emotional labor, and they stop rewarding chaos with attention. This is the twist. The survivor isn't the one with the hardest punch. It's the one who can't be bribed by approval. If you can't be bribed by belonging, praise, sex, nostalgia, or the fantasy of being the one who finally heals them, you become untouchable. And yes, here's the uncomfortable truth. The integrated person could manipulate back. They can read the patterns, they know the buttons, they can anticipate the next move before it's spoken. They could play psychological chess and win. But integration gives them what the narcissist lacks: restraint. a conscious choice to exit instead of dominate. That's why the narcissist collapses around them, because the narcissist's power depends on your participation, your explaining, your hoping, your fear of being the villain. The integrated person refuses the role. They step off the stage and the play falls apart. When an integrated person exits, the narcissist doesn't just lose a relationship, they lose oxygen. Supply is not affection. It's access to your attention, your reactions, your confusion, your guilt. The moment you remove that access, their control system goes offline, and they're forced into the one move they always use when reality can't be controlled: narrative control. First comes the smear campaign. You become cold, abusive, crazy, ungrateful. Suddenly, the same boundaries they mocked as too sensitive are rebranded as cruelty. Why? Because if they can make you the villain, they don't have to face what you exposed. Smear is a defensive spell. It recruits other people to carry the discomfort of truth for them. They triangulate, calling friends, family, co-workers, spreading a version where they're the wounded hero and you're the monster. They want you to defend yourself, to plead your case, to prove you're not what they're saying. If you speak, they get supply. If you stay quiet, they can't land the hook, and that emptiness enrages them. Then comes the replacement sprint. Watch how fast it happens. New admiration, new soulmate talk, new photos, new "finally I'm happy" performance. It's not love, it's restoration of the illusion. A narcissist can't sit alone with their own shadow, so they outsource it to a new container as quickly as possible. Sometimes they hoover you while doing it. Late-night messages, sudden apologies, nostalgia bombs, anything to see if your old hook still works. It's not longing, it's quality control. They need a reaction to confirm you orbit them. If you don't react, they sprint faster, parading a new target like proof you were replaceable. Here's the Jungian closure. A narcissist can survive contact with many people, but they cannot survive contact with an integrated person for long, because integration collapses projection. You stop accepting the role they assign. You refuse to carry their shame. You refuse to be confused. The mirror stays clean, and they can't stand their reflection. Surviving isn't winning arguments. It's refusing the game. They don't fight, they leave. And they leave with empathy that has steel in it, and boundaries that carry peace. Most people never reach this level of inner authority, so they'll misunderstand it as cruelty. Let them choke on that story. If this is you, comment, "I don't negotiate with distortion." Subscribe for the next layer, because the narcissist's greatest fear isn't your anger, it's your silence.